Hi everyone, this is Ken Hubley, and welcome to the 8th edition of Parent Chats. My guest this week is a wife, a mother, a business professional, and someone who, while doing all of this, she still found time for herself and to earn her degree, Bachelor of Business Administration. That is a lot of balancing and a lot of prioritizing to do, and very noteworthy. Please welcome with me Natalie Hartt, who is going to be our guest on the show today, and she's going to share some of her thoughts on balancing and a little bit about her journey as she took on all of these roles. Natalie, welcome. It's great to have you here today.
Great. Thank you, Ken. I'm very pleased to be here with you.
Thank you. So, Natalie, quite the introduction. You're a busy lady, and I know you take great commitment to your family, to your work, to all of the things that you do, and how there must have been challenges along the way as far as, taking on another major priority. I mean, that's a multi-year priority to earn your degree, yet, and, maintain your friend group and all the things. How do you do it? What was the challenges along the way, and how did you overcome them?
Well, I think, first of all, it was my motivator. I had done different types of education before, diplomas. And of course, those came with their own challenges because, not everyone has the means to be able to go to university when they're younger. Not everyone has the time to be able to go when they're younger. And it was something that I always wanted, but I never really had the opportunity to be able to, seek that type of education. And I always wanted one. I don't know. I mean, I see it now. I'm not sure why then, but I really wanted that degree. So that was my motivator to start out with. I think I tied some of my own self-worth to it. As I've grown and gotten older, I've learned that my self-worth is more than just that, but that at one point in time was really where I saw my worth. So that was my motivator. The challenges along the way were obviously money. It takes money to go to school. And, I saved and scrimped and borrowed and was able to fund myself through that. I was definitely lucky with my employer who pitched in as well. So once I overcame that, the other challenge is time. So of course I wasn't a 20-year-old with no commitments. I was married. I had 2 young children. I think the girls were 4 and 5. So they were really young. So having to take that amount of time was a huge challenge. I would say, I was very lucky that I had my husband. He was a great supporter and my cheerleader through the whole thing because he knew how much I wanted it. I also had family and friends. And I think what I learned along the way was draw on those people, your support, whoever they are, whether they're family, whether they're friends, whether they're colleagues. I really drew on them to help me. It really takes a village, and they helped me through the way. So, while there was times where I felt bad that, I had to study or I was constantly doing assignments or going to class, I had those people who could fill in for me. So it's not that the girls were ever missing out, is that, sometimes I was there and sometimes their grandmother was there, or sometimes their father was there. So that's really what helped me through it.
Excellent. Yes, support is so important, and what a great role model it is to be able to accomplish this and for your daughters, and to be able to see their mom take on all these challenges and be able to balance them. So that's really good. And that's something that we hear a lot, which is one of the reasons I invited you to come in. I've talked to parents all the time, and they say, these chats are a great idea, or doing stuff for myself is a great idea, but when do I do it? Because so many people, you're serving so many other people, and I call it the sandwich generation. A lot of times we have parents, who need us, or family members in our own immediate family, employers, community groups. You're part of a you're a director in your local community group, and it just takes so much away from you. So I really commend and respect the fact that you were able to find the way to get this done for yourself. I think that's really important. What advice do you have for these parents that are struggling and says, I just don't have the time, I can't do it?
I think that you need to make the time. And I think when you first look at it, there's never enough time. There is never enough time to get everything done. I think that, once you start to make the time, it's there. Once you see other solutions, like take away the guilt. You know what? I'm not going to be at every field trip, and I'm not going to be able to take my kids to every horseback riding lesson or every gymnastics. I have to lean on the people who want to be there in their lives as well. They want to go to gymnastics as well. And the fact that I'm asking them to do that, my girls aren't missing out on anything, and grandparents and are getting to join in, and friends and colleagues and things like that, like to, participate in your lives. So I think once you start making the time and you realize, you take away that guilt factor that I don't have to do everything all the time, it gets a little easier. And I do think, again, leaning on people. It's so important. It really, really is. You really don't have to do it all. The other thing that I would say is, I want to say the first month that I had my first daughter, I realized you can't do it all. And sometimes you have to sacrifice some things. So nothing's ever going to be perfect. So, if I have to give my daughter, a Suki and I didn't want to do it, you know what? Sometimes you have to pick your battles, and sometimes things are sacrificed. Sometimes your kid is going to be in front of their iPad or some sort of electronic device because you have to do something. So sometimes you have to just do what you need to do to get through stuff. And that doesn't mean you're a bad parent. Everyone's different. And I think that everyone's challenges are different in that. So some may not want their kids to be in front of the, electronics. So they throw them outside, go outside and play, right? And that doesn't mean that you're being a bad parent. It's just sometimes you got to do what you got to do to survive.
Yeah, exactly. When I listen to you, what I think about is when we're on an airplane and they give you the instructions of the oxygen mask. You have to put on your own mask and keep yourself healthy before you're able to help others. And that's what the sense that I get when you talk. Thank you. This is super, super helpful. Now, you're a mother, 2 daughters, school age, and we're in the pandemic for the last 2 years. I'm sure you're not immune to that you haven't missed that. You probably had challenges, probably had techniques along the way. As a mother with children in school, how are things?
I think I worry. I worry about our children and what effects this will have. I think, our children are not having the same type of social contacts that we did when we were kids. I mean, they didn't anyways because they're in a different generation and, they're more tied to electronics, whereas we were outside playing. But I worry about what long-term effects this is going to have. The children talk about it. They're worried about it. It's a constant thing, and they're always washing their hands and wearing the masks. And I think that maybe we're going to have a more cautious generation because they've been so, it's hammered into their heads. Wash your hands. Don't touch each other. Don't hug. Stay away from each other. So I wonder. So myself, my girls are junior high age, and so they're very aware of what's going on. They're very aware of the news and what people are saying and what teachers are saying and parents are saying. So I'm honest with them. I talk about what's going on. I talk about how they're feeling. I talk about everything with them in that I don't want them to turn around and see something on social media and say, whoa, mom didn't say that, or she brushed that under the table, but this is way more serious, or this isn't as serious. So I honestly have those honest conversations with the girls, and, they're worried. and they don't want COVID. They don't want their friends to get COVID. They don't want things canceled, like my daughter's birthday that's coming up, and she's terrified. She's double masking now because she wants that birthday party. And so I think the best that we can do is just be honest with them, talk to them, help them through school as they're online back in school. I think it's really the most that we can do is just be honest with them and keep them in the loop as to what's going on.
Exactly. Well, happy early birthday to your daughter. And I think you hit the nail on the head. This is something that we have talked about a lot on this show, is the importance of conversation, two-way conversations, talking with your children and listening. In fact, we have 3 episodes on the pandemic and talking to your child about major events. So feel free to tune in to NovaScotiaLive.tv if you want to see some of those episodes, parent chats, and to all the listeners out there. And this has been really inspirational, really helpful, and really important. And I want to talk to the viewers for a second about, is there something you want to do? Is there something that you feel you don't have time? Natalie gave a lot of great advice in this episode today. And the first step is to start. Name it. Feel free to put in the comments what it is you want to accomplish. You may not know how you're going to do it. You may not know when you're going to do it, but at least putting it in writing is the first start. And if you want more information on chatting with children, as far as that, feel free to bring in the Lenny Superbook, which is a book on, the link will be in the show notes, and feel free to order a copy of it. We talk about bullying, we talk about Kids Help Phone, and we talk about fitting in, which again, the chats are so important between parents and kids. And if you have questions for Natalie or for myself, put them in the comments below. We will reach out to Natalie and ask her the questions that you have for her. And again, we really appreciate you doing this. It's an inspirational story. It's something that I respect a lot that you were able to accomplish while you were in a very busy environment. Do you have anything in closing with our viewers to make sure to help them, or advice for them, or even any tips on self-care? Because again, it is so important.
I think I'd just like to say, just start. Once you start making time for yourself, you'll see that you may have more and more time, but you need to make time for yourself, because if you don't make time for yourself, you're not going to have your 100% best self for your family or your friends or, your job or things like that. So really take time for yourself.
That's a great message for us to end it on. Again, we are parents helping parents. I'm a parent. Brian's a parent, the producer of the show, and Natalie's a parent. And, we share our experiences along the way with people. So thank you once again, Natalie. It's been a privilege to have you on this show and to share some of your experience and some great advice with our viewers. And we look forward to talking to you again in the future.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thanks.